Namaskar. We will be continuing with our discussion on the sociological influences on consumer decision making, and today we shall be talking about opinion leadership. This module 7.7 is opinion leadership, which we shall be completing in a total of 1 hour, and we shall be speaking about word of mouth communication and opinion leadership, opinion leaders and opinion receivers or seekers, the role played by opinion leaders, the motives behind opinion leadership, the dynamics of the opinion leadership process, measurement of opinion leadership, traits and characteristics of opinion leaders, and the relevance of opinion leader for a marketer. So let us begin with our discussion on word of mouth communication and opinion leadership. Now, in the previous session, we have spoken about the informal interpersonal communication that takes place between consumers or between prospects with respect to a product or a price or the store or the promotion. Any and all of these which we mentioned was referred to as an interaction that takes place between two people, which is essentially related to marketing and referred to as word of mouth communication. So this informal communication that occurs between two people, we term it as word of mouth communication. In terms of marketing, it refers to any conversation which relates to the purchase activity or anything which pertains with respect to the product or service offering. Now, the major characteristics of word of mouth communication are: one, it is something which is very informal in nature; two, it takes place between two or more people. These people may be either consumers or prospects, and in no way are they representative of the marketer. And three, unlike commercial sources, the people involved in this communication process do not have any ulterior motive or any hidden motive of making a sale or of earning a profit. So these are certain characteristic features of word of mouth communication. One, they are informal. Two, it takes place between two or more people, and in no way are these people related to the marketing the representative. And three, these sources, unlike the commercial sources, these sources are something which are regarded as more credible, more reliable, more trustworthy, because people involved in this communication do not have any kind of an ulterior or hidden motive. Now, word of mouth communication relates to face-to-face informal communication. However, this communication can also be through telephonic conversation or through internet chatting or blogging, or any form of conversation that takes place between two people, and it could assume a verbal and non-verbal form. So it could also be in the form of body gestures or expressions or body language, and it could also be in the form of certain acts of behavior. So as people communicate with one another with respect to a purchase situation, one of the persons is involved in the informal communication is able to have an influence over others. So as two people are interacting informally, interpersonally with each other, one of them tends to become stronger, tends to be more forthright in his discussion with respect to a particular product or a service or a brand, and this person tries to influence the attitude and behavior of the other person. He tries to influence the opinions, the value judgments, the beliefs, the predispositions, or even the acts of behavior of the other person. So he is referred to as an opinion leader, and the person who becomes a little submissive to the opinions or to the value judgments of the opinion leader are referred to as opinion seekers or opinion receivers. So as we see people communicate in the purchase decision making, as they communicate with each other, one of those in the informal communication tends to become more powerful and is able to exert his influence and attitudes on the other person, and this person is referred to as the opinion leader. In fact, Schiffman defines opinion leadership as the process by which one person, which is the opinion leader, informally influences the action or attitudes of others who may be opinion seekers or opinion recipients. So opinion leadership is a process in which one person who is the opinion leader is able to influence the attitudes or the actions of another person who will either be opinion leaders, who will be either opinion seekers or opinion receivers. Now, and the identification of an opinion leader is and their behavior and the very dynamics of the opinion leadership process is very crucial for a marketer. Once these people have been identified as opinion leaders, the marketers can target these people with their marketing mix. So, and the marketers can basically target their marketing efforts onto these people. Yesterday we have discussed the two-level theory of communication and the multi-level theory of communication, where we saw the vital role that is played by the opinion leader. Especially when we spoke about the multi-step theory, we saw how information from the mass media comes to the opinion leader, who basically comprehends it, interprets it, analyzes it, and then transmits it to the others, who will be either opinion seekers or opinion receivers. So the opinion leader has an important role to play, and once a marketer is able to identify the opinion leader, understand his actions, understand his behavior, and once the marketer is also able to understand the dynamics of the opinion leadership process, he can direct all his marketing efforts towards such opinion leaders. The marketers can provide information and advice to the opinion leaders, and through the word of mouth communication, through informal interpersonal communication, or through word of mouth communication, the opinion leaders make the job very easy for a marketer. So in case when a marketer is successfully able to identify opinion leaders, he would direct all his marketing efforts to them, and the opinion leader, through his informal interpersonal communication with information or opinion receivers and opinion seekers, he'll be able to transmit the information with respect to a product or a service or a brand. So that is why the role of an opinion leader is very important for a marketer. Now let us move beyond and discuss a little bit about opinion leaders and opinion receivers and seekers. So when people indulge in an informal product related communication, one of those persons usually provides information, and he will talk about whether the product is a useful buy or not, and how it would be used, and how it is better than other alternatives. He would also give advice as to with several brands, which is the best brands and from where it should be bought. So this person who dominates the discussion with respect to providing product related knowledge or advice, or who shares his experiences and becomes a little more powerful over the other, becomes known as what we call as the opinion leader, and the process is referred to as opinion leadership process. So one of those people who indulges in informal product related information usually provides information about the product, about the product category, about the brands, about which of the brands to buy, which not to buy, which is good, which is not too good. And this person, through his product news or through his advice or through his sharing of experiences, is able to influence another person, and he comes to be known as an opinion leader, and the process is known as opinion leadership. Now in some cases the opinion leader just likes to talk about a product or service category, and he provides information voluntarily. He voluntarily provides information about the product or service category because he's involved in the product or service category and loves to talk about it, loves to share his information. Also he feels a sense of pride in acting as an expert in that product or service category. So he provides product or service related information voluntarily, and the people who listen to him are referred to as opinion receivers. On the other hand, the opinion leader may sometimes provide information when people approach him, or they when request him for information and advice about a product or service category or about a brand. So in this particular case, the people basically approach the opinion leader, and the opinion leader provides information only and only when asked for. So in such cases, the audience or the receiver of the message, or the person who actually seeks this information, is referred to as an opinion seeker. So opinion people who are provided information voluntarily by the opinion leader, and such people who act very passive and are passive listeners to this information are referred to as opinion receivers. On the other hand, those people who put an effort and consciously put an effort to ask or request the opinion leader for information are referred to as opinion seekers. So individuals who on their own approach opinion leader and seek information or seek advice are referred to as opinion seekers. So Now, there is a two-way exchange of information that takes place between the opinion leader and the opinion receivers or opinion seekers. We have discussed this in the multi-step flow of communication theory, where we said that the interaction between the opinion leader and the opinion receiver or the seekers is something which is a two-way interaction, where the opinion leader provides product news, knowledge or advice or information or experiences, shares experiences with the opinion seekers, and the opinion seekers and receivers also get back through their opinion, through their feedback. And so both, it's a two-way interaction that take place, and both opinion leader and opinion seekers or receivers enter into this two-way communication process, and this actually forms the basis of the opinion leadership process. As opinion receivers and opinion seekers interact or get back with feedback or with other information, it also sometimes adds to the information base of the opinion leader, and it adds to his learning patterns, it adds to his memory bank, and this is what we refer to as associated network. So what is very important here is to understand that opinion leaders are not generic in nature. They are specific to a particular product category, and they would become they're specific to a particular product category and will become an opinion receiver or an opinion seeker for another product category. So when we talk about opinion leaders, we have to be very clear about one thing, that opinion leaders are something which are product or service category specific. They are experts, they are opinion leaders for a particular product or service category, and for another product or service category they could resume roles of an opinion seeker or an opinion receiver. So it is something which is not a generic process. Now let us come to the role played by opinion leaders. Opinion leaders play a very important role, the very key role they play as a interface between the marketer and the consumer. They act as a very vital role. They communicate with the consumer with respect to the product or service offerings, about the brands. They give product news, they give advice to customers, both current and potential customers, and they also narrate their personal experiences to any and all of them who either approach them consciously for information or the others who are mere listeners to this particular conversation or dialogue from the opinion leader. But there are certain roles played by an opinion leader, and these roles could be studied under three forms: 1, authority figure; 2, trendsetter; and 3, local opinion leader. So these are the major roles that are played by an opinion leader in the form of an authority figure, a trendsetter, and a local opinion leader. So what is an authority figure? Now when the opinion leader provides product news and advice and also narrates his personal experiences to consumers, he is set to assume a authority figure role. By providing information, by providing product news, advice, and narrating his experiences, he helps customers, both current and potential customers, satisfy their need for information or for advice, and it makes their purchase decision making process much easy, in terms of physical and cognitive effort. So whenever he narrates his experiences or provides advice or gives product news, he is set to perform the authority figure role. Now they are able to perform this role because they are experts in a particular category. As I just mentioned, opinion leadership is something which is not generic, it is restricted to a product or service category, and the opinion leader is able to perform his role as an authority figure only and only because he is an expert in a particular category, and he acts as an expert, he acts as an authority in that particular product or service category. He has the knowledge, he has the expertise, he has the experience with this category, and that is why people approach him, people value him, people look up to him with credibility, because he is regarded as an authority, he is regarded as an expert, he is regarded as a very experienced person with respect to either the information or the usage of this product or service category. He would be in the best position to give advice on whether a purchase should be made, and if a purchase has to be made, what should be purchased or what brand should be bought. So because of his power as an expert, because of his ability and his skill, and because of his expertise in a particular product or service category, he is able to provide valuable answers to whether purchases should be made at all, and if purchases are made, what kind of brands should be bought. So he performs the role of an authority figure, and while performing this role, he also helps consumers reduce the level of physical and cognitive effort that they put into completing their purchase decision making process. While providing information, he also helps them reduce the level of perceived risk that comes along, especially with respect to high involvement products. So opinion leaders, when they play this authority figure role, they feel a sense of pride, they have a sense of prestige associated with this particular role, because they feel people have approached them because he or she is regarded as an expert, as a very knowledgeable person with respect to that product or service category. Now, another role which is played by an opinion leader is that of a trend setter. Opinion leaders are inner directed, they do not bother about what others say or what people in the society do. They are also innovators, and they often go in for purchase of product or service offerings which are new in the market, and they through their purchase, or their usage of this new product, they also set trends. So they also act as trend setters. They also, when they buy something, when they use something, and when they share their experiences with others, often influencing others to emulate them, they perform this role which we refer to as the trend setter role. So they narrate their accounts of their personal experiences, and others emulate them. So in this way, the opinion leaders also act as trend setters. Now, once a trend is set, other people will copy them, and as trend setters, opinion leaders could belong to a membership or a non-membership reference group. Opinion leaders also act as another role, which is the local opinion leader. What do we mean by a local opinion leader? Now, people generally like to behave similar to what people in their reference group are behaving. This is also more specific to their primary reference groups, where people have a face-to-face regular interaction with other members, be it family, be it friends, or be it neighbors, and be it people in the society. So people seek social approval, people seek social acceptance, and they try to do what other people in their contactual or their membership group are doing, and even what people in their aspirational and non-membership group are doing. Now, people from such groups, directly or indirectly, provide information and advice that helps the consumers to make purchase decisions and buy such goods and service offerings which people in their contactual and their primary groups, or people in their aspirational and their non-membership groups are doing. So in this form, the opinion leader also acts as a local opinion leader. He is in regular interaction with other people in the group, and the people who are opinion receivers or opinion seekers look up to him as a leader, as a local leader, as a part of their membership group, or their primary reference group, or their contactual group, or even in certain cases, as somebody who may be an aspirational reference or a non-membership group. So people from such groups, directly or indirectly, provide information that helps consumers make purchase decisions and goods and services, and they buy brands that contactual and aspirational groups actually aim off. In fact, opinion leaders are regarded to be opinion leaders in when A, they constitute a person's positive reference group, 2, they provide information about a product or service offering or about a brand that satisfy the needs and wants of the consumer group, which is inconsistent with the group values and norms. So as local opinion leaders, they provide knowledge and advice and narrate experiences about product or service offerings, and the credibility lies in the fact that they belong to the same group as others who approach them, so they are able to advise on the good or the bad and thereby guarantee social approval and appreciation. So as opinion leader, 1, he is a part of the reference group. 2, he provides information with respect to a product or service offering which will satisfy the needs and wants of people, and this will be inconsistent with the group goals or the group norms or the group values. And as a local leader, they provide a lot of knowledge, information and advice, and they narrate their personal experiences, and the credibility of such opinion leaders or such local opinion leaders lies in the fact that they belong to the same group or the same reference group or the membership group, and they are able to advise in the best possible manner what is good, what is bad, so as to lead to so as to actually guarantee social approval and social acceptance amongst the people or amongst the classes. Now this brings us to the next topic, which is motives behind opinion leader. Why does an opinion leader provide information, and why does an opinion receiver or seeker solicit information? So both the opinion leader and the opinion receiver or seekers have their own reasons for for providing information or for seeking information. Opinion leaders like to talk about a product or service category. They provide information, they provide advice, they provide they share their experiences. They also like to talk about it, sometimes voluntarily, sometimes when asked for, and they like to talk in length about their interest or their product or service category of their interest. On the other hand, there are opinion receivers who are mere recipients of the dialogue which is actually has been initiated by the opinion leader. In terms of opinion seekers, they have their own motives or their own reasons why they approach an opinion leader and ask him for advice. So opinion leaders give product related information and advice, sometimes on their own and sometimes when approached and asked for, and opinion receivers and seekers also request for information or listen with patience all that opinion leader has to say. Now there are various reasons for such communication exchange that takes place between the opinion leader and the opinion receiver, or the opinion leader and the opinion seeker. We will talk about why do opinion leaders provide information. Now opinion leaders may like to talk about a product or service category. They may like to give product news or advice, or they may love to share their experiences with respect to a product category. This is because they are involved about a product category. They know a lot about it. They are interested in that product category and they love talking about it. So the first reason why opinion leaders will want to share their in product news or advice or information, or even share experiences with others, are because they are involved in a particular product or service category and they are interested in it and they simply love talking about it. So product involvement is very, very high, and because of this reason they want to talk in length about it. They not only gather information or gather knowledge from various sources about the product or service category, which is going to be an ongoing process, which is also going to be an enduring involvement, okay. And so because of this long process or long ongoing process and this enduring involvement which they have with the product or service category, they collect a lot of information, they ponder over it, they comprehend it, and they then want to transmit it by talking more and more about it. We have discussed earlier in our chapter on involvement, where we said that people who are highly involved in a product category not only seek information but also like to comprehend and transmit it. So one of the reasons why opinion leaders want to share a product news or advice or experiences with others are because they are involved in that particular product category and they want to talk about their interest to others. Second is they get an opportunity to share their interests, or they share their interest for a particular product or service category with others. They feel that they may feel so positively or so negatively about a product or service offering that they want to talk either very favorably about it by telling all positives about it to others. On the other hand, they may feel very negative or unfavorable towards a product or service offering or a brand, and they want to talk very negative, or they want to talk negative about it or against it. So either they might feel positive and want to talk favorably, or they feel negative and want to talk unfavorably, and they want to tell other people about it. So there is product involvement, there is self involvement with the product as well as with the experiences, and they convert it to social involvement with others around them. Also, if they have something negative or something unfavorable to say about a product or service category, they would do so in greater length and in greater depth, because unfavorable or positive feelings for a particular product or service offering have a deeper and more profound impact on people. So as the third reason why they provide information is that they feel especially when people approach them, they feel very important and powerful. They feel very important and powerful. They feel that they are experts in a particular product or service category, and that is why people have approached them for product news, advice, or for sharing of experiences. So it gives them a sense of superiority, it gives them a sense of pride, it gives them a sense of special status, and they take pride in providing information and sharing information with others. So it's a feeling of self gratification, it's a feeling of pride, and it's a feeling of being very powerful. Another reason why people give information is because by nature they are benevolent and generous, and out of their altruistic concern for others, they want to share information with their family, with their friends and others. So in the first case where we spoke about they feeling important, or they feeling proud, or they feeling very superior because of their knowledge, this particular thing would hold true when people go to them for information. The people ask information or request information for them. But in this the other case where it's a feeling of benevolence or altruism or generosity, in such cases they simply like to talk about it and will tell others even without information being sought for. So while feeling important or proud or powerful is something which will happen when opinion seekers go to them, the feeling of generosity, benevolence and altruism is illustrated when it's not the opinion seeker, but it's more of the opinion receiver. So a dialogue between the opinion leader and the opinion receiver, actually this particular transaction of ideas, of exchange of ideas, is when they out of their altruism, out of their benevolence or out of their generosity, they want to help others, they want to spread the message around, they want to talk about it, and they want to help. So it's more of a selfless motive and more of a social involvement. Another reason why opinion leaders share information or like to talk about product or service category is because they want to reduce their own level of cognitive dissonance, and so this is more to do with a self-interest motive in mind. So out of self-interest also they would want to share information because they want to reduce their level of cognitive dissonance. This is particularly true when in cases where the product is new and they have bought a product and they want to reassure that they have made the right choice, or they may be wanting somebody else to try the new product before they actually go out and buy, or another case where they have been dissatisfied with the product and like to complain about the purchase of a product or service offering, or about the store where it has been purchased. So these are all cases where it is self-interest. So for the first case where they like to talk about it because they are involved in the product category, it's more of a product involvement. In the second motive where they want to talk about it because they find it an interesting topic of study, again it's a product and a social involvement. In cases where they feel a sense of pride and power by talking to others, by sharing their expertise with others, in this case it's more to do with a feeling of self gratification, power and pride. When it is the opinion leader trying to act generous or benevolent or out of altruism and talking on that, it's basically more of a selfless motive. But again we also have a selfish motive where he's trying to reduce his own level of cognitive dissonance, or it's a new product product and he wants somebody else to try it out. Again, it's a selfish motive. He has bought a product, he is uncomfortable about it, he wants to reassure that he's made the right choice by making somebody else buy it. That's again a selfish motive. And third, he's bought something where he's dissatisfied with the product or service offering or with the brand, and now he wants to complain about the purchase of a particular product or of a brand or a store or a company or the store from which it's been purchased. So in all these cases, it's a selfish motive which makes him talk or which makes him share product news, advice, or his experiences with either opinion receivers or with opinion seekers. Now, if we go beyond, we see that even opinion receivers or seekers also request for information, then they have their own motives which actually lead them to request information or to seek information. The first reason why they seek information or they request for information is so that they can make the right purchase decision. This is more relevant for high involvement products where people may not be involved in a product category, and so they have less information or less knowledge with respect to a particular product or service category, and so they take the help or take the support of people who are more experienced, who are more knowledgeable for that product category. So this is one reason where they do so that they can make the right purchase decision. Another reason why opinion receivers or seekers ask for information is with respect to new products or with new usage. One, it helps them reduce their physical and cognitive effort that they will have to put in when it comes to gathering information about a new product or evaluating the alternatives and making the right decision. It's not only the physical and cognitive effort that comes along, but it's also with matters of time. So such people, they approach the opinion leader so that the opinion leader can provide them with the right knowledge or the right advice, and the opinion seeker can save on the time which is required to make a decision with respect to a product which is a new product. Product knowledge also reduces the level of uncertainty associated with the purchase. When opinion seekers go to opinion leaders for advice and seek or solicit their support, it helps them reduce their perceived risk. And because they feel that they've approached an expert, they've approached a person who's knowledgeable, and the kind of information or the knowledge or the advice that such a person will give him is something which is credible and trustworthy. This is more important when we're talking about new products, or when we're talking about the first time users of a particular product or service category. Another reason why people go to opinion leaders is because they feel that opinion leaders are credible, they are trustworthy, and they have no ulterior or hidden motives, unlike marketing communication or unlike dealers and salespeople who have an ulterior motive of making a sale or earning revenue. Finally, people also turn to opinion leaders to confirm their purchase decisions and to reduce their level of cognitive dissonance that follows a purchase. So this is typically relevant for high involvement products or for products which relate to social class, lifestyle, and image, because their issues of social approval and social acceptance also have a great role to play. So people turn to opinion leaders to confirm their purchase decisions and also to seek social approval and social acceptance from members of their social class, including the opinion leader. Now let us come to the next, which is dynamics of the opinion leadership process. Opinion leadership is a very dynamic process. Opinion leaders talk about a product or service category. They provide product information, advice, and news. They are not generic in nature. They are product category specific, and an expert in a particular product category and an opinion in a particular product category becomes an opinion receiver or a seeker for another product category. So a person may be an opinion leader for a product category, but he becomes an opinion seeker or a receiver for another product category. Now let us talk of the dynamics in terms of a few points. The first point which we will discuss is that opinion leaders provide product information, advice, and narrate experiences. They talk informally, they communicate informally about product about product and service offerings or about brands, and they act as authority figures, trendsetters, and local opinion leaders. They also provide both positive and negative information. They talk both favorable and unfavorable about a product or service category and about the various brands. Now, compared to positive and neutral information that they provide, the impact of negative information or unfavorable information is much greater and has a bigger impact on opinion receivers or upon seekers than anything which is positively said. So any kind of statement which is positive or neutral will not have that kind of an impact which a negative statement made by an opinion leader will have. So opinion leaders provide both positive and negative information, and negative information provided by opinion leaders has more profound and deeper effect on opinion receivers or opinion seekers. Third, opinion leaders are influential and persuasive. They provide credible information about the product or about the service category. They provide advice, they share their experiences. People look up to such people and they approach such people for advice or for help. Why? Because one, opinion leaders are regarded as subject experts. They are regarded as experts in a particular product or service category. They are regarded as being very knowledgeable and highly experienced. Also, since there is no issue of a monetary compensation, or there is no hidden or ulterior motive associated with them, the opinion seekers find them to be more credible and more trustworthy as sources. So, and they feel that because there is no monetary compensation involved, and in no way is the opinion leader going to get benefited from a marketer, so the information that he is going to provide is something which is going to be genuine, unbiased, and absolutely objective. So, because there is no monetary compensation attached, or there is no ulterior or hidden motive attached, monetary compensation from the marketer to the opinion leader. So because of that, the opinion receivers feel that because no way is the opinion leader going to benefit from the marketer in terms of a monetary compensation. So there is no ulterior motive, there is no hidden motive, there is no monetary compensation involved, nothing at all. So the information that comes is going to be absolutely very objective, very unbiased, and very credible and very genuine. Also, because they have no hidden and ulterior motives of their own, that is of making a sale or of earning a revenue or earning profits, but the information that they provide will be very, very credible. And because also they are regarded to be selfless, without any selfish interest. Their advice is regarded as something which is to the best interest of everybody, whether consumers or current or prospect consumers, or even the society at large. So that is the reason why opinion leaders are regarded as highly influential and persuasive. They are subject matter experts, they are selfless, they have no motive, there is no monetary compensation from the marketer which is going to come into there are no hidden or ulterior motives. So whatever information that they provide will be absolutely genuine and credible. Opinion leaders are not generic in nature. An opinion leader is specific to a particular product or service category. They possess expertise and specialization in a particular product category, and because of their expertise, because of their knowledge, because of their experience in a particular category, people approach them for advice. People look up to them for advice and for their valuable opinion. Now here we would like to relate something with or talk something about market mavens. We've been discussing till now that opinion leaders are category specific, but here when we talk about people who happen to know about everything, about different products, different services, and everybody goes to them, for whatever advice they need, such people will not fall into our definition of opinion leaders. They will fall into what we refer to as market mavens. So there are some people who happen to know about everything and provide their advice about anything and everything. Such people are called market mavens, and they are different from opinion leaders in the sense that they do not provide information about a particular product or service offering, but they provide information about everything. Okay, they talk general, they talk about general buying, they talk about general consumption behavior. They seem to know less intensive about a particular product or service category and more extensive about many product or service categories. So instead of confining themselves to a particular product or service category, they seem to be knowing everything about everything about every kind of product or service offering. And so such people will like to talk about anything and everything. They'll talk about general trends, they'll talk about social trends, economic trends, they'll talk about general consumption patterns and consumption behavior, but they're not specific to a particular product or service category or a brand. So they are less intensive with a product or service category and more extensive with many products or services. And in general, they possess more of general knowledge and marketing expertise rather than specific product knowledge. So that is what we call as market mavens. And opinion leaders could also become opinion receivers. They, as we said, that they are category specific, and a leader in one becomes a seeker in another. Now let us come to the measurement of opinion leadership. As opinion leaders are very important as a vital link between the marketer and the consumer, the marketer is always concerned with number one, identification of such people in a social structure who are opinion leaders. 2, identification of such people who have the potential to become opinion leaders, and 3, how do you measure opinion leadership? So 3 issues which are of interest to a marketer is: 1, to identify in the social structure who is currently an opinion leader; 2, to identify who has the potential to become an opinion leader; and 3, how do we measure opinion leadership? So it's essential that opinion leaders with respect to a product or service category are identified. It's also important that you identify such people who have the potential to become opinion leaders. So how does a marketer do that? There are different ways in which an opinion leader can be identified. 1, marketer directly asks the consumers whether they are opinion leaders. So he directly questions them, are you an opinion leader? 2nd, marketer could ask a subject expert to identify who the opinion leader is. So this is another way by which a marketer could identify by asking a subject expert to identify who the opinion leaders are. And 3, by studying very carefully the communication pattern and the communication flow that takes place between the consumers, and understanding the dynamics of this communication process as to who is more powerful or in a discussion, or who is more forthright, or who is more dominant in a discussion, the marketer will come to know as to which of the 2 consumers is more forthright, is more dominant and more powerful, and could be an opinion leader. So that there could be 3 ways by which opinion leaders are identified. 1, by a marketer directly asks the consumers whether they are opinion leaders. 2, they refer matter to a subject expert, and the subject expert identifies who the opinion leaders are. And 3, they study the communication flows or the communication pattern of and flows amongst consumers, and they interpret the dynamics. Now the third part, which is the study of communication flows, and the patterns of these flows basically help marketers to identify the traits and the characteristics that make up an opinion leader. So all of these methods, but primarily the method which deals with communication flows and the communication pattern, will help a marketer identify or understand the traits and characteristics which make up an opinion leader. Now, an understanding of these traits and characteristics is very vital to a marketer. Once the marketer has identified these traits and characteristics, he will be able to create a definition of what an opinion leader should be like, or what an opinion leader is like. And through his definition of what are the characteristics or what are the traits which an opinion leader should have, the marketer will be able to identify them and will be then able to target his marketing efforts to such opinion leaders. So in order to be able to identify the opinion leader, it's very important that the marketer has an understanding of the traits and characteristics that opinion leader should possess. So marketers would then use them in their in their marketing process. We have discussed the two-way and the two-step and the multi-step flow of communication theory, and it was very clear there that how especially in the second theory, in the multi-step theory, that how the opinion leader plays a vital role by receiving information from the marketer and then transmitting him across to the opinion receivers or the opinion seekers. So once the marketer would provide them with information about the product or service offering, about the brand, and then use them. So once such people, that is those people who have the potential or who have the characteristic or who have the traits to become opinion leaders, are exposed to a message, they would in turn talk about it and make job easier for a marketer. So now let us talk about how or what are the basic methods for measuring opinion leadership. Talking about the different measures, there was a person by the name of Rogers, and Rogers came up with 4 basic techniques for measuring opinion leadership: the self-designating method, the sociometric method, the key informant method, and the objective method. So the self-designating method is where a marketing survey is conducted, and the people are asked a series of questions to determine the degree to which they behave as opinion leaders. So they are asked a few questions about which basically study the degree or the intensity with which they have a potential to behave as or they do behave as opinion leaders. Questions could be like the extent to which they have given information and advice about a product or a brand to others in the social system, how often they have been able to influence others in the social group, how often they have been approached for information and advice about a particular product or service category or about a brand. So such questions, an answer to such questions will give an idea and to determine how people could behave as opinion leaders. The advantages of such a method is that it is easy to apply in the market, through market research questionnaires, and it helps measure an individual's perception and assessment about himself and his or her opinion leadership related capacities. Disadvantage is because it is based on a self-assessment, it could lead to overestimation and then suffer from bias. It is also difficult to assess the outcome of communication in terms of knowledge and advice. So the success of this technique will depend on the objectivity to which a consumer responds to it, and the objectivity with which a respondent can identify, assess, and report his personal influence. The second method for which we measure opinion leadership is the sociometric method. It bases itself on the study of the social system and particularly the communication patterns and flows to identify who acts as a opinion leader. So researchers examine the complete patterns of informal communication flows and identify those who provide information to others as opinion leaders. So the advantages are the technique meets the test of validity and reliability. Chances of misconception and bias are much less, but the problem is it is difficult to implement. It's costly in terms of money and time, and in order to obtain results that are valid and reliable, it requires a lot of intensive and extensive data from a large amount of information from a large amount of sample. So this can be very expensive and time consuming. In the key informant method, the key informants in a social system are identified based on a careful observation and analysis, and these key informants are asked to identify and designate individuals in the social group who are opinion leaders or who are most likely to be opinion leaders. So the key informants here are asked to identify and designate individuals who in their social group can be opinion leaders or most likely to become opinion leaders. Now in this way, where the expert is asked to identify opinion leader, the technique is better than the self-designating method where the person himself was asked to assess himself as an opinion leader. Advantages is this is relatively less time consuming and expensive as compared to the sociometric method, and it's based on a chosen few rather than large samples. But the disadvantage is that if the informants are not carefully chosen, they may provide wrong information. Finally, we come to the objective method, which is based on simulation. It identifies and measures opinion leadership by placing people in controlled environments, just as you have controlled experiments. People are chosen, they are given information about product and service categories and asked to act out as opinion leaders. So the resulting web and patterns of informal interpersonal communication are traced and analyzed, and so very successfully able to understand who will be a opinion leader and who will not be. So the advantages are that it measures persons' abilities to provide news and advice and influence purchase decisions in a controlled environment. But of course, it's a complex process and it's very time consuming, and here we have we can say that this particular method suffers also from limitations because it's a very complex process. Now let us come to the traits and characteristics of opinion leaders. Opinion leaders possess certain traits and characteristics. Let us talk about these traits. So the first trait that opinion leaders possess is that they have high levels of involvement and interest in a particular service or product or service category. They gather information from various sources and they are very updated about this information. They have greater interest for exposure to media. They like to read more about what interests them, and this is something which is an ongoing and a very long-term enduring involvement. Second, they are subject experts. They have tremendous knowledge about the product or service category. They are well informed about the product, the various attributes, services, benefits. Because of their knowledge, people turn to them for advice. They are also product and service category specific. We have spoken about how they are different from market mavens, because they are more intensive about a particular product or service category rather than being extensive about everything. And such people become our opinion leaders for a particular category, will become opinion receivers and seekers in another category. In most cases, opinion leaders are also likely to be innovators, and because they act as innovators, because they are inner directed, because they act as innovators, they are the ones who are going to buy something, use it, and also become the trend setters. So they are also innovators, and we will discuss in the next session when we talk about innovation, how opinion leaders act as big innovators. So they have the first hand experience with the product or service category. They buy something, use it, and then they set the trend, and they also ask or provide advice based on their reactions, based on their satisfaction and dissatisfaction levels, and based on their experiences with the product category. They share it with others. Opinion leaders also have certain personal characteristics. By their own nature, they are very gregarious and self-confident. They love to talk, and they are they're extroverts by nature. And as far as characteristics are concerned and social standing is concerned, generally they belong to the same socioeconomic group as opinion receivers and opinion seekers. So in terms of social standing, in terms of social status and social class, they are very similar. Now, the opinion leadership process is relevant for a marketer. Marketers realize that opinion leaders are regarded as a credible source of word of mouth communication, and that is why we have seen how they act as a vital link between the marketer and the consumer. And the marketer, once he is able to identify such opinion leaders, he can make his job easier by educating people or consumers, either prospects or current, through the help or with the help of an opinion leader. So he identifies them and then shares product related information with the opinion leader, and the opinion leader then transmits the same to the masses or to the publics, which could be either information receivers or information recipients. So it makes the job easier. Rather than the marketer directly dealing, he uses it as a link. He uses opinion leaders as a link to transmit information. This is not to say that the marketer will not deal directly with the consumer. Of course, he will have his own marketing channels of communication and deal directly with the consumers as well. But as far as interpersonal, informal interpersonal communication is concerned, and as far as the relevance of word of mouth communication is concerned, having respecting that, marketers also prefer using opinion leaders as a vital link to transmit whatever they have to say via them to the consumers. Now, this brings us to a conclusion of our session. We have these references, frequently asked questions, discuss the motives behind opinion leadership process, 2, critically assess the various techniques used to measure opinion leadership, 3, discuss the traits and characteristics of opinion leaders. Coming to the quiz, section 8, true false. 1, opinion leaders are specific to a product or service category. True. 2, opinion leaders provide only negative information about a product or service category. False. 3, sometimes a person may become an opinion receiver or seeker for the same product also. True. 4th, in most cases, opinion leaders are also consumer innovators. True. And 5th, opinion leaders generally belong to the same socioeconomic group as opinion receivers or seekers. True. Fill in the blanks. 1, dash act as a vital link between the marketers and consumers, opinion leader. 2, opinion leaders are said to be performing the dash role as they act as experts and authorities for a particular product category, authority figure. 3. There are some people who seem to know everything about the market and offer their advice about anything and everything. Such people are called dash market mavens. 4. The dash method is based on simulation. It identifies and measures opinion leadership by placing people in controlled environments. So the answer to this is objective. The objective method is based on simulation. Multiple choice questions. 1. A marketing survey is conducted and people are asked a series of questions to determine the degree to which they behave as opinion leaders. This is called the dash of measuring opinion leadership. This is called the A. discussion method, B. interview method, C. self-designation method, D. objective method. So, this answer is C. self-designation method. 2. Which of the following statements about sociometric method of measuring opinion leadership is false? 1. It bases itself on the study of the social system and particularly the communication patterns and flows. 2. It makes use of questionnaires that are administered to people in a social system. 3. The technique lacks validity and reliability. D. It is costly in terms of both money and time. The answer is C. C is a false statement. Question number 3. Dash WOM communication about a product category has deeper and profound effect on consumers. A. positive, B. negative, C. neutral, D. all of the above. The answer is negative. Short questions. 1. Define opinion leadership. 2. Mention the 3 roles played by opinion leaders. So, you have the 3 roles: authority figure, trendsetter and local opinion leader. 3. Explain briefly the key informant method of measuring opinion leadership. And 4. Give instances how marketers can encourage opinion leadership through their marketing strategies. So, this brings us to a conclusion of our session on the sociological influences of consumer decision making. We finish with our session on opinion leadership. We also finish with our discussion on this particular module, which was sociological influences on consumer decision making. Now, in the next module, we will be talking about how new products get diffused into the social system or into the marketing system, and we will be discussing about diffusion of innovation. Thank you.